Big data analytics. It's a term that gets thrown around everywhere, right? It promises to completely change the game for businesses. But while the giant corporations are all diving in headfirst, what about the little guys? You know, the small and medium-sized businesses that are the real backbone of so many economies? What does it actually take for them to make that big leap? Today, we're going to unpack a really fascinating study that looks at exactly that. To really get a handle on why this is so important, let's just start with one number. A really powerful one that sets the whole stage, 95%. So what is that? Well, that's how many businesses in Jordan are actually small or medium-sized enterprises. We're talking more than half of the country's GDP and about 60% of the entire workforce. These businesses aren't just a part of the economy. In a lot of ways, they are the economy. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the big question researchers wanted to answer. See, it's not enough for cool new tech to just exist. The real challenge is getting these vital businesses to see the value in it and, actually start using it. Okay, let's get into it. And it really is a puzzle. But first things first, let's make sure we're all talking about the same thing here. So, big data analytics, or BDA for short, it isn't just about hoarding massive amounts of information. It's about having the right tools to slice and dice all of it. Customer feedback, sales data, supply chain info, all that stuff, and turn what looks like noise into really smart, valuable business decisions. And this slide, well, it lays out the puzzle perfectly. On one hand, you've got the big picture. Jordan as a country actually ranks pretty high when it comes to adopting new technologies. But then you zoom in and you see the reality on the ground for small businesses. There's this huge gap between the country's potential and what's actually happening day to day for these SMEs. So how do you bridge that gap? To solve this, the researchers basically created a blueprint, a kind of map designed to chart out all the different things pushing and pulling on a small business manager when they're staring down a piece of new tech. Now, I know this looks kind of complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. The researchers didn't just pull this out of thin air. They built it by combining a bunch of proven theories about how tech spreads, how companies work, and how the market puts pressure on a business. Think of it as a complete roadmap of the decision-making process. It essentially boils a manager's entire world down to 3 distinct categories. First up, you've got the technological factors, the basic questions. Is this new thing really better than what I'm using now? Will it even work with my current setup? Second, you have the organizational factors. Is my boss on board? Do we even have the resources for this? And third, there's the environmental stuff. What's my competition doing? Are they all using this? And is my company's data going to be safe? And here's the absolute linchpin of the whole model. The researchers propose that all those things, the tech, the office dynamics, the market pressure, they all funnel down and influence this one single super powerful concept, perceived usefulness. And this is the crucial takeaway. It doesn't matter one bit how great a technology is on paper. What really matters is whether the person making the call believes it will make their business run better. Their perception is absolutely everything. It's the final gatekeeper to adoption. Okay, so that's the theory. That's the blueprint. But what did the actual data say? Which of these things truly convinces a manager that big data analytics is worth it? So the researchers took their blueprint and put it to the test. They surveyed 388 SME managers across Jordan. And this diagram you're seeing, it's basically the result of that test. It shows us which of those factors we just talked about have a real strong connection to a manager's decision and which ones maybe don't matter quite as much. And wow, the results were super clear. 5 factors really stood out as the main drivers. Managers saw BDA as way more useful if they believed it gave them a real leg up on the old way of doing things, if it played nice with their existing systems, and this one's huge, if they had support from the very top. And the outside pressures mattered just as much. Seeing competitors adopt it and feeling confident that their data was secure both had a big positive impact. Okay, but wait a second. There's one thing here that just feels a little off. I mean, we usually assume that if a technology is too complicated, people are just going to run for the hills, right? Well, get this. This was the biggest curveball of the entire study. The researchers' original guess was that complexity would be a turnoff, a negative. But the data from those 388 managers showed the complete opposite. Complexity actually had a significant positive influence on how useful they thought it was. Maybe managers see complex and they think powerful or sophisticated. Whatever the reason, it was a fascinating twist.
So we have these really interesting academic findings, but now for the most important part, what do we do with them? Let's break down how this research can turn into real-world advice, both for the businesses themselves and for the policymakers trying to help them.
The implications are actually pretty direct. For SME managers, the message is clear. Focus on the tangible wins. Don't get bogged down in the technical jargon. Just ask, how does this make us better? And get your leadership on board from day one. For policymakers, the study suggests they should be out there championing the economic benefits of BDA, creating clear roadmaps for businesses to follow, and backing programs that build trust around security and compatibility.
If you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this. Technology does not sell itself. All the features, all the data, all the potential in the world, it means nothing until a manager is truly convinced that it will improve their performance. That perception, that is the final hurdle. And that leaves us with one last really big thought to chew on. We spend so much time and money engineering better and better products. But this research proves that for any innovation to really catch on, we also have to get better at engineering perception. So the ultimate question isn't just, how does it work? It's, how do we make people believe in it?